speaker today. And before I introduce him, teachers and students, just a little bit of tidbit of information and some questions. Don't raise your hand, but here's what I want you to think about, teachers and students. Think of someone in your life, your short life, longer lives, of someone who has motivated you, encouraged you, and someone you've looked up to. Think about that right now and what that has done for you. I guarantee you, all of you have at least 1, 2, 3, 6, 12 people that you can think of directly that has impacted your life in such a way. I'm pretty darn lucky because I've had a lot of people that have impacted my life. And what's pretty cool is when a student can do that. Because I had this young man as a student. And the way he impacted my life is unbelievable. The message that you are going to hear is about attitude, effort, and never giving up. This young man is a sophomore at UNK, that's University of Nebraska at Kearney. And he's also on the golf team. And I know a lot of you, and I've golfed with a few of you during Mrs. Torson's golf class, right? You know how difficult of a game that is. And how much practice you need to be great at it. This young man behind me is very, very modest. And before he came here to speak, I said, hey, you're going to have to boost yourself up a little bit, but I might be stealing his thunder here. But as a junior, well, he's a 3-time, 4-time state medalist in golf? 3-time state medalist in golf. Now you might think, no big deal. But that is, during the state golf tournament, 60-plus guys he is golfing, and he has been in the top 10 3 years in a row. That's impressive alone. But wait till you hear his story, because it's even more impressive. It's my great pleasure to introduce a student and a young man who has had a great influence in my life, Mr. Lucas Grossman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Holtz. Good morning, Hampton. I'm very excited to be here with you guys today. I know you guys are just kind of getting back into the swing of things with school. And I know that you just got off a really nice long winter break, and some of you guys may not be as excited to be in school right now as I am. But I'm very happy to have this opportunity to speak to all you guys today. So my name is Luke Grossman, like Mr. Holtz said. I grew up in Aurora, Nebraska, just 6 miles away from here. So I'm sure you guys are really familiar with the town that I grew up in. I'm sure you guys have been through there quite a bit because it is so close to Hampton. But that's where I grew up. I had 2 older brothers that were very nice to me, that were very great brothers to have. We were always very competitive with each other. And I'm sure if any of you guys have brothers in here, I'm sure if any of you parents in here have sons, I'm sure you know just how competitive it can be having brothers around the house. And me and my brothers, we always liked to compete with each other. We always played basketball, football. We wrestled in the house. We did really whatever that we could do to push ourselves to be the best that we could be. And I also had 2 very loving parents. You'll see them in the top picture up there. That always told me that I could be whatever I wanted to be. And I had 2 loving parents that always pushed me to where I wanted to be. And if I needed someone to talk to, if I needed advice on something, they were always there for me. And growing up in Aurora, I got involved in a lot of different things. And from the time I was in elementary school, I got involved in football, baseball, basketball, played soccer. I was involved in the band. I liked to do anything that I wanted to do. I liked to do everything that I could. I really tried to get involved right from the get-go, right when I was in elementary school. And as I went on to middle school, I tried to keep being involved, and I limited my things a little bit, but I was still involved in band, I was still involved in basketball. And as I got into high school, I limited it down a little bit more because I tried to focus on the things that were important to me. Like band was very important to me. I was involved in it through 5th grade all the way through high school. I played the bass guitar in the jazz band, pep band, and marching band. And I played in the percussion during my time in the concert band. And I also golfed throughout high school, like Mr. Rolls said. I was a 3-time state medalist. I made varsity every single year of my high school career. And I qualified for state every year, and I medaled. I got 9th my sophomore year, I got 4th my junior year, and I got 6th my senior year. And I really excelled at golf to the point where I was able to play at the collegiate level, and I'm able to play now at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. But other than golf, I was also involved in FBLA in high school. I was the treasurer of our chapter my senior year. I was also a member of the National Honor Society. As I went to college, I didn't want to stop getting involved. I wanted to become more involved. As I went to college, I became involved not only in golf, but I'm also a tour guide at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. So any of you juniors, seniors out there, if you come tour UNK, you might see me giving tours. I might give you your own tour, or you might just see me around the campus, because I try to get very involved in college. I'm also a member of the honors program, and I'm also very involved in my fraternity Sigma Phi Epsilon, and also involved in the Greek community as a whole at UNK. And I'm sure all you guys are wondering, why are all these things so important? Why am I up here bragging about all my accomplishments? Why am I up here telling you everything that I'm involved in? Because I'm sure each and every one of you guys out there is involved in something. Each of you guys has accomplished something in your life. So why is it important that I've accomplished all these things? Because I've had a few setbacks in my life. And you'll notice that in these first pictures as a little kid, all these different pictures, I was a normal little kid growing up. I was just like my brothers, I was just like my parents, I was just like every kid my age. But when I was 4.5 years old, I was diagnosed with a rare skin disease called linear scleroderma at the age of 4.5. And you'll notice in these pictures as you look at my right leg, I was different because of this disease. And what linear scleroderma does, what it did to me, is it pretty much suffocated my right leg to the point where it did not bend and it did not grow like a normal leg should. You see, when I was 4.5 years old, my parents didn't really know what was happening with me. This all started with a bruise on my upper right hip. And we kind of ignored it for a while until it started spreading. And then we knew that we were going to have to go consult with doctors about what was happening. What was happening to my leg when I was 4.5 years old. So we started off going to some doctors in Aurora. The doctors in Aurora had no idea what was going on with my leg. We went to doctors in Hastings. The doctors in Hastings did not know what was going on with my leg. You see, the thing about scleroderma is that it is a very rare skin disease. And through my time, I've been to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. For those of you that don't know what the Mayo Clinic is, it's a very world-renowned clinic with very world-renowned doctors. They see a lot of patients for a lot of rare things. And they had only seen 7 cases of my disease in children throughout their whole entire career. And through those 7 cases in children, mine was the most severe that they had ever seen. So it was not unusual for these doctors in Aurora, for these doctors in Hastings, to not know what was going on with me. But it was scary for my parents, it was scary for me as a 4-year-old to not know what the future held. So we went to a third doctor, we went to a doctor in Kearney, Nebraska. Finally, he was able to give me a diagnosis of what I was dealing with. He diagnosed it as linear scleroderma. He put me on some medication, I took a lot of pills, I had shots in my arm from the time I was 5 to the time I was 8, once a week. I had a lot of medication to try and stop this disease from happening. But the thing about scleroderma is it is an autoimmune disease. And the thing about an autoimmune disease is it's going to attack your body where it wants to, when it wants to, and how severe it wants to. And there's nothing stopping that disease from attacking your body. And that's a scary sight to see when you're a 5-year-old kid that you have no control over what's happening to your right leg. That this disease is going to do what it wants to do with your body. And as I grew up, I started kindergarten, I started 1st grade, and it was tough. Because when I was in kindergarten, every single kid would get to go out to recess. Every single kid would get to do different activities in the classroom. But so often, I had to sit in the back of the classroom with a heating pad on my leg, trying to ease the pain as the disease progressed throughout my leg. And I would wince, I would cry, I would ask why. Why would such a disease happen to such a good little kid? Why am I left with such a burden at the age of 5? But I went on in life. And by the time I was 6.5 years old, this disease had fully taken over my whole right leg. And I was no longer to bend my leg, and my leg was no longer going to grow. But thankfully, the disease had stopped. It had taken over my leg, but now it was done. And as I progressed in life, as I got bigger, as I got taller, as I grew in size, there was going to be no way I was going to keep living with this leg. And by the time I was in 7th grade, my right leg was 5 inches shorter than my left. And it also didn't bend. And I was walking around with a size 3 shoe on my right foot and a size 7 shoe on my left foot. And I was walking around with a lift that was 5 inches tall on the bottom of my right shoe. I could not keep living like this. So I was left with a choice. I was left with a choice at the age of 12 of what I was going to do. And I want you guys to think about middle schoolers. I know there's middle schoolers in here. I know there's high schoolers in here. think about when you are 12 years old, think about the average decision that you made throughout your life. The average decision that a 12-year-old might make in their life: what am I going to wear to school today? What am I going to have for lunch today? What should I post on social media? That's the average decision that a 12-year-old should have to have. And I was faced with the decision of, should I amputate my leg or should I keep it? And after a lot of sleepless nights, after a lot of crying myself to sleep, I knew that I couldn't keep going on living with this leg that I had, and that I had to make a change in my life. And so me and my family, we scheduled the surgery for June 8th, 2009. That's a day that I will never forget in my life. It's a day that is very important to me. And on June 8th, 2009, we arrived at the hospital. They rolled me into the pre-op room, where I held both my parents' hands. And as tears filled our eyes, as we didn't know what the future was going to hold for me, I told my parents, my situation has to get better. Because I've had so much bad happen in my life, I've had so many bad things happen to me, for my situation to not get better. This surgery will be for the better. And I kissed both my parents, and as the anesthetic took over, I went unconscious. They rolled me into the operation room, and the operation took about an hour and a half. And after surgery, I spent 7 days in the hospital, healing up, getting taken care of by nurses. And then I was released to go home for about a month. So I healed up at home for about a month, and I was on my way back to Shriners Hospital in Minneapolis, where I was faced with my brand new leg. This was what I was going to be dealing with for the rest of my life. I knew that I would never have a normal leg, that I would never have a real leg. But I was going to have a leg that acted just like a normal leg, that acted just like a real leg. I was finally going to have a leg that bent. I was finally going to have a leg that was the actual size as a normal leg. I was going to have a foot that was functional. This leg was going to be normal. And I knew, and as I started physical therapy, as I got my leg and I came back to where I started physical therapy in Grand Island, and I went to physical therapy 3 times a week for 3.5 months, learning how to walk with this leg. And as I started physical therapy, I had one goal in mind. And that I would not look at myself as having a disability. Because this is not a disability, you guys. Because I can do so many things with this leg that I could never do with the leg that I started with. That I am able to do anything with this leg that any other human is able to do. I am not disabled to do anything, and you guys are not disabled to do anything. We all in here can do anything that we put our minds to if we just get the right mindset. And as I went through this physical therapy, I had 4 things that I always wanted to keep in mind, and you'll see these 4 things on this board right now. To make me able to accomplish whatever I wanted to do, I had to do these 4 things. I had to have a good attitude, I had to be strong, I had to live, laugh, love, and I had to have empathy for myself, and I had to have empathy for others. And I knew if I did these 4 things, that I would be able to do anything that I wanted to do with this leg. That I would never be disabled a day in my life. And just like me, you guys can be able to do anything in your lives by going through these 4 steps that I took. And it all starts with attitude. You see, like it says on the board, attitude is everything. And I believe without a good attitude, these other 3 things that I'm about to talk about do not come easy at all, and they might not even be attainable without a good attitude. And that's why I believe so strongly in attitude. Because I believe every single person has a burden. I'm not the only one that's been through tough times. Every single person has a burden in this room. Every single person has a problem that may need to be fixed. But if we constantly tell ourselves that we won't be thankful for all the things that we have in life until all of our problems are fixed, then we will never be thankful for a day in our lives. Because we're always going to have burdens and we're always going to have problems in our lives. So we must start to look at all the good that's happening in our lives and stop focusing so much on the bad. Because in a world where there seems there's so much bad, there's so much more better. There's so much more good things happening in our lives than we realize. Because I'll tell you, I had a terrible leg growing up. I had a very bad situation growing up. But I had so much more good growing up than bad. Because I had 2 great brothers, I had 2 loving parents. I had food on the dinner table and I had a roof over my head. And I just had one bad leg. So there is so much good happening in our lives on a daily basis, and so often we too much look at the bad. And I'm amazed at how many people are mad at life, are mad at the world because of the situation that they're in. Because I'll tell you what, I was mad for the first few years of my life. When I had this disease, I was mad. I did not like having this disease. No one would. But I knew that if I was going to be mad at the doctors, if I was going to be mad at my parents, everyone, because I had this disease, that wasn't going to help out my situation. Because we can't continue to be mad about the things that we don't have. But we can be happy about everything that we do have. Because always remember, there's so much more good in life than there is bad. So always look for the good in your life. Stop focusing on the bad. And you're going to have a great attitude. You're going to have a good outlook on life because you can focus on the good things in your life. And attitude is going to excel you to do the rest of these things, and it's going to make you able to do anything you put your mind to.
Give me some thumbs up.
Thumbs up, everybody!
All right.
Now this is not me in the video, this is just a video I found on YouTube. But I can relate a lot to this young kid. This kid reminds me a lot of myself as I was younger. And as this kid talks about riding a bike, I'm sure a lot of you guys have learned how to ride a bike in your life. And if you can remember learning how to ride a bike, many times as you start pedaling, you're going to fall down. Then you're going to get back up on that bike and you're going to pedal. You might fall down again. And so often our life is like riding a bike, learning how to ride a bike. We're going to get up on that bike and we're going to fall down and life's going to knock us down. But we're going to get back up because we're strong. And if we don't get back up, that's going to show just how weak we really are. So I encourage you when you fall in life, let's get back up. Let's get back on that bike. Let's keep riding. Because as I went through physical therapy, as I started walking with a new leg, with a leg that bent, with a leg that was normal size, it was tough to adapt to. And I fell a lot of the time as I started those few weeks of physical therapy. But if I was going to fall and lay on the floor, do you guys think I would be right here today? If I did not get back up, would I be right here today? There's not a chance. I was able to get back up, I was able to pick myself up and be strong enough to overcome what was happening to me. And so often, things happen in our lives that are totally out of our control. And when something happens in our lives that's out of our control, we can do two things. We can either give up, or we can keep going. We can pick ourselves up and we can keep going. Because so many things in your lives are going to be out of your control. And bad things are going to happen, but we must keep going. Because that's going to determine just how strong we really are. And there's two things that we can't do in our lives, and that's make excuses and that's justify the things in our lives. Because I could have said, I have a prosthetic leg, I'm not going to make the varsity golf team. I'm never going to play college golf. I have a prosthetic leg, I'm not going to be able to give tours at UNK. I could have said those things. And we can all make excuses in our lives about these things, but that's not going to help. That's just going to make us weaker. And if we start to justify and we start to make excuses, we're not going to be able to overcome these things in our lives. So we must be strong enough to get back up on that bike, to keep going, and to accomplish the things we want to accomplish. And that's the next step in being able to do anything that we want to do. And there's three things that I believe every single person should do every single day of their lives. And that's live, that's laugh, and that's love. If you can do those three things every single day of your lives, people are going to look up to you, and people are going to want to be you, because you can do those three things. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I love my life. Let's say that together right now. I love my life. And I love my life because I've seen the purpose. I've seen the purpose of my life, and every person in here has a purpose. Every single person here has a purpose on this earth. There's a reason why you guys are here. And once you find that purpose in your life, it is so much easier to live. And I love life because I believe everything comes together for the good. That no bad situation is going to stay bad. Nothing is going to keep getting worse. Every single situation is going to get better. Because I had a bad situation growing up, but my life is great now. And I love my life because I knew that things could not get worse, that things are going to get better. I love my life. And to love my life, I need to laugh every day. And I believe laughter is the cure for everything. So if we can find some time to laugh throughout the day, I think we can cure anything that we're going through. Whether it's through YouTube videos, whether it's through talking with your friends, whether it's even laughing at yourself, I believe that we can laugh every day and we can cure all of our problems. And I love laughing at the situation I'm in. I've grown enough to laugh at the situation that I have. If you notice on the slideshow, I was a pirate for Halloween. I had a peg leg. And a lot of people really like that. I have a shirt that says, "Dude, where's my leg?" that I wear on special occasions. And I've done stand-up comedy at UNK over my situation about having one leg. And when you can laugh at your situation, when you can laugh at the things that happen to you in life, when you make a mistake and you can laugh about it, that doesn't make you weak. It makes you stronger, and it makes you better. And I want us to all get a little laughter in right now, today, right here. So I need one volunteer, and we're going to have a little dance-off up here. How many of you guys know how to do the stanky leg? Stanky leg, anyone? You know how to do it? You want to be my volunteer right now? No, you don't want to? Who wants to be my volunteer? Who's brave enough? There we go. Thank you. All right, so we're going to have a little dance off here. We're going to do the stanky leg. I'm going to let you guys judge whose stanky leg is better. Mine or his? Okay, here we go. Thank you very much. Who do you guys think won? So there's the laughter for today. See how much energy that brought to this gym? See how much laughter did right there? That's how much laughter can do throughout our lives. Just one simple stanky leg. That's what it can do. And lastly, the third thing we must do each and every day is love. We must love ourselves. We must love the others around us. And we must find something that we love to do. Because when you can find something that you love to do, and that you can make a career out of it, or you can make a hobby out of it, then you're not going to work a day in your life because you love what you're doing. And if you can love something, if you can find something to love that not a lot of other people love to do, then you're going to become so marketable in this world because everyone's going to want to hire you, and every employee is going to want to be you because you love what you do. And find out what you love. Because I found what I love. I love inspiring others. I love talking to others about their lives. So find out what you love to do and find your purpose. Like I said with your life, find your purpose, find what you love to do, and these other two things will come easy. You see, because once you find one of these things to do in your life, the other two come hand in hand. And once you do all three of these things, life is going to be so good, and you're going to become the best version of yourself. And my last step of being able to do anything that you want to do is to have empathy. Have empathy for yourself, have empathy for others. Because we are not in this life alone, you guys. We all have friends, we all have peers, and they're here to help us deal with the situations that we go through. So if you see someone going through a bad situation, if you see someone having a bad day, let's go and talk to them. Let's go give them guidance. Let's lead them through it. And if you're having a bad day, let's find someone to talk to. Here at Hampton, you guys are surrounded by some great teachers, some great administrators, So let's find someone to talk to if life gets bad, if life gets tough, if we're dealing with a tough situation. Let's find someone to talk to. Because I'll tell you guys, I would not be where I am today without the support group that I had. I had 2 loving parents, I had 2 great brothers. I had friends that would be there for me no matter what I was going through. And if I had a bad day at school, if I had trouble walking one day with my disease, I had parents that could give me advice and they could pick me back up. And we all have people in our lives that we can go to when we're dealing with a tough situation. And we can all be that person to help someone in a tough situation. So let's have empathy for others and let's have empathy for ourselves. And I was able to do anything because I never looked at myself as having a disability. And like I said, every single person in this gym has had a burden on them. Every single person in this gym has been broken, but none of us are disabled. All of us are able to do so much through these 4 steps. And it all starts with having the right attitude. Because good attitude leads you to the rest of these 3 steps. Having a good attitude gives you such a good outlook on life. And that's why I believe the only disability that one person can have in life is a bad attitude. Thank you guys very much for having me talk to you today. I love this opportunity.
Thanks, Luke. Before I send you back, I'm sure some of you may have questions. You saw
What's that shirt you were?
You saw his leg here, and I wouldn't be surprised if you asked him that he would show you now. If you ask him, I'm sure he will. But if you have any questions, and good questions, think of some good questions. We still have some t-shirts up here. Think of some good questions that you can ask Luke right now. Anyone have a question right now? Teachers, you can ask too. Kennedy.
Is it hard to live with a prosthetic leg?
It was difficult at first. It was hard to adapt, especially doing all that physical therapy. I remember I always have to leave school a little bit early and go to physical therapy and kind of get those sessions in. But once I got the hang of it, and once I kind of started getting new legs, that leg I showed you on the slideshow, that was the first leg I've gotten. But actually I have newer legs that I've gotten in my life. This is actually a C leg, so it kind of programs to the way that I walk. So it catches up with me whether I'm walking fast or slow. It's always going to catch up with me. So I really feel like I do have a normal leg now. There's a few things in life I do differently. I take it off when I sleep, I take it off when I shower, but otherwise I never really think about having a prosthetic leg, so I've kind of grown to make my life easy with it. Good question, though. Yeah.
What was your first thought when you woke up after your surgery?
I remember being very hot. I was burning up, but I remember checking whether my leg was still there. I knew that the amputation was happening, but that was kind of what I wanted to see. But the first thought was, this hurts, but this isn't something that I'm not going to be able to get over. Because I've dealt with a lot of pain in my life, like I said, I had that heating pad on my leg for such a long time. I took so much medication to ease the pain. So I knew that it was going to hurt those 7 days in that healing process, but I knew that it was something that I couldn't get over because I've accomplished so much. Yes.
Did you ever get made fun of when you were in elementary school?
Not too often, and that's something I really liked. I had such a good support system, and I had really good friends. I never found myself being looked at as different. And a really good thing is my mom always came and talked to the elementary school kids, and she always told them about the situation I was going through. So a lot of kids understood what I was going through, and like I said, they were that support system for me, and they really showed empathy towards me. So they really never made fun of me. I never really had a tough time. It was just looking at myself like everyone else was the big thing.
Might have to be selected.
Okay.
Why did you have cancer when you were young?
What's that?
Why did you have cancer when you were young?
Cancer. He said, why did you have cancer
When you were
when
young?
you were young?
I didn't have cancer.
Oh.
I just had a disease called scleroderma. Let's see, one more question.
So you slept just at your kids' sports. How was that with prosthetic?
It was tough. I remember the toughest thing doing in physical therapy was learning how to run. Because I learned how to walk, and that wasn't easy, and I knew I was never going to be able to run as fast as a normal kid, but I really wanted to be able to run, and they actually got me a leg that was able to kind of make me run faster and make me jog at least. And I was never great at sports, but it was something I really liked doing, and that's kind of why I picked up golf, because I wasn't good at running. I wasn't able to do basketball too well, but I still tried to do it, and I might have been on the C team, but I still loved doing it. But that's why I picked up golf, and then golfing was so much different because I had a leg that was 5 inches shorter than my other leg, so when I swung, it was so hard to transfer that weight on a leg that was so much shorter and so much more fragile. So once I got my prosthetic, golf actually became a lot easier, and I was able to excel so much more once I got that leg. So sports kind of came easier once I got this leg in my mind.
What I remember with Luke is when you've seen me officiate, and I'm not a very good official, but I had to officiate Luke when he was in middle school. And I remember the first 7th grade game that I officiated with Luke, and just his determination. He never gave up. So he is walking the talk every single day. He doesn't see this as a disability. The other thing that's pretty amazing, correct me if I'm wrong, Luke, his freshman year, golf, and that was when you just got the prosthetic, am I right?
Yep.
You got to be 16 years or older to drive a golf cart, which is, it's kind of silly, I know. But was this at district or state?
Districts, probably, yeah, districts.
Districts in Grand Island, and he was new with the prosthetic, and he chose to use a golf cart, but he wasn't 16, so I had the pleasure of driving him during the district golf meet. And I was, you can't root, how can you not root for him and, say good job, but there's so many rules with golf that I was just like, okay, he'd hop on the cart and he'd be like, okay, let's go to the ball. So it was really weird for me, but I wanted to high five him and say, nice job, because he could get himself out of any golfing situation. Phenomenal. But here's what's even more amazing. You toe to the bag, right? You toe to the bag.
Yep.
You've seen before people using the little carts that they push? No. Here's a kid with one leg, backpacking for 18 holes in some of the hilliest golf courses in the state. And he chose to lug that golf bag around his back. And watching him golf and do that was phenomenal. So Luke, thank you for being an inspiration to me, because when I said it at the beginning, you know what, if you think you're having a bad day, no. And I look up to him. How old are you, Luke? 19?
19.
41. When I grow up, I want to be like Luke. Thanks, Luke. Appreciate it. If you want to, you can go ahead and go first. Go back to class, or yes, Ms. Hersberg, teachers.
Go get their shoes on the stage.
Yeah, go get your shoes on the stage. And then so it's just not a big cluster to the door. Let's do this. I know seniors, you probably want to chill out. You want to chill out more and not go to class. So we'll do 7th and 8th graders. You guys can go ahead. You're more than welcome to come up and talk with Luke.
Yeah, what about those that got homework?